Faze.
Hey, Funketeers, Bootsy here to bring the Truth and Rhythm family's attention to Funk Not Fight. Yeah, this is a call to action. We spread hope, not hate, to gain satisfaction throughout our communities via the music uplifting unity. Peppermint Patty, tell us a little more.
Thinker is our partner. Thinker Music, that is. So please check the link that's scrolling across the bottom, click it, and submit your music.
Let's all funk, not fight.
Welcome back to the next part of this Truth and Rhythm episode. Be sure to subscribe to this channel. If you've already done so, please share it with friends. Also become a member by joining Truth and Rhythm on Patreon, or consider donating at funkinstuff.net. Thank you so much for your interest and support. Enjoy.
What was the crowd pleasers presence and presentation like on stage at that time?
We were more like a type group that we would have on outfits. We didn't have props. We just had the stage appearance, and we wore outfits. So when we were, everybody had their own different type of outfit, but we all wear the same colors, but it'd be different outfits that would fit their personality. But we had more of the type of sound that we had. We played stuff with more to the groove that got people involved to make them dance. So we was more like a just an R&B, band. Every places that we played, we always draw. We was definitely a type of band that draw an audience, and we used to tour a lot in the Michigan area. We played all through Michigan, and every time we played somewhere in Michigan, we always have a packed house. The place was flooded. We would draw, so people pay to get in, and played a lot.
Well, you mentioned the Heat Wave on that one bill. I saw them around that time. They had a really energetic show. I remember the one I went to, they formed a human pyramid at one point of that concert.
Yeah, I only seen them that one time back then, and that was the end of it. Never seen them again. But like I said, we was all on that same bill. So they gave us a chance to to prove ourselves. Pretty much that was like promoting your own song. If your song is hitting, then you got to be just as good as your song. You got to really hit it. And then from that point, then somebody else will pick you up, another promoter pick you up, and then it goes from there. But we never did do anything after that. It just that New Orleans, and that was it. And after that, then that was the end of it.
I think over time, though, that record's become, coveted by funk collectors, as sort of a hidden diamond in the rough. You know what I mean? So, looking back, you must take some pride in knowing that.
Yeah, but I wish we could have really toured off of it and made money. That's where we needed that help at, to make that money off that song, because we didn't do good on our performance. So that was on us. We failed when it came to that.
Hard lesson to learn, right?
Yeah. That's it. We didn't do good. So we never made any money off of it. And then that would have helped out on boost up the record sales. And then no telling where we probably would have ended up at after that, you know.
You mentioned Glenn Goins before, and one of the tracks, "Blessed with Rhythm," is credited to Glenn Goins and Lynn Mabry.
Oh, "Blessed with the Rhythm."
Yeah.
Yeah, they brought Glenn in to help us out on some songs, and Glenn came up with that. And Glenn started to sing the song itself. And then he said, "No, I'm not going to sing the song. I want somebody else to sing it." So he looked at the guy that played the drums. He told him, he said, "Why don't you do it, Earl Davis?" And Earl didn't think he could do it. He didn't want to do it. He thought it was, a little bit too much. But he ended up doing it anyway, and he did it his way. And I knew he could do it because he was an excellent singer. And he's not here with us anymore, but he was an excellent drummer. For him to sing that song, and I sit there watching and to sing it the way he played drums, how he tied both of them in together. I mean, he played the drums so well, and he sang that song as if you would think somebody could be out front singing it, but he behind the drums actually singing that and playing it at the same time with this intense power. I mean, this guy was excellent on the drums and could sing that song the way Glenn showed him how he wanted him to sing it. And so what it was, Glenn was trying to got him into having that same vibe, how he was singing. And he actually pulled it off and did excellent. And not only that, he still played some authentic drum parts with them vocals like that. Now that was amazing. he did excellent. That was great. So, Glenn picked the right one.
And we went talking on something else, but did you meet Glenn through these sessions, or you met Glenn before that?
I met him through the session. I used to listen to a lot of their records. I said, God, this guy is so good. I said, I wonder if I ever meet this guy in person. And I kept thinking, if I ever could meet this guy, I'd like to hook up with him. And I couldn't believe it. Didn't know he was in Westbound. He was there. Brought him in. When they named him, I just couldn't believe it. And I looked at him. The first time I seen him, it was just like, the way to describe it, I said that we were like meant to know each other. We was dressed identical the same the day that I met him, because I kept looking at him. We almost had on the same thing, so it was just like we was almost like thinking the same, but we had on almost the same outfit. I mean, it wasn't but just a pair of jeans and a leather jacket, and but it was similarity. And I kept looking at me, and he kept looking at me. And he looked at me, and then he said, "I'm gonna see what you can do." So he started playing. I fell right in with him and knew exactly, what to do. And he kept listening. Then he pulled me to the side. He said, "Man, he said, I want to use you on some tracks." And that's how we came together, connected. That guy was authentic.
It's one of my favorite singers ever.
He just blew me away, man. But I just couldn't believe it. Then he was like more like a brother to me, because he would help me out. He used to show me things on the bass. He was a good bass player. I don't think a lot of people knew he played bass. But that guy was an excellent bass player. Did you know that?
No, I mean on stage usually he would only have a guitar.
I mean, this guy was a bass player. I mean, he can actually play bass, but because he used to show me what he want me to do and how he want me to attack that type of sounds on the bass and how he would play. And he would show it to me. So I got to think, I said, well, dang, I was with Junie. Junie showing me his field, and then Glenn was showing me his field. So, it was like I got the best of both worlds right there. I mean, it was like almost like it was sort of like back to back. So then Glenn brought me up to New Jersey, and then I started recording with him, and then we'd stay up late at night, and at his house, he would show me different techniques on the bass, how he want me to play, how he would play. So it's just like he pretty much took me in, and like I was, I don't know how to describe it, if I was like his son, but we wasn't really, come to find out, he was just only a couple of years older than me, but he just seemed much older than what he was. Later on down the years, I found out we was just only 2 years apart. But he was so far ahead of himself, I was just amazed. I thought he was just much older than that, than what he was. But that guy was great. I mean, phenomenal. I mean, this guy was so good, it was pathetic. Could do anything. Good.
Did you have any clue that he was ill?
He told me, and I didn't believe it. Because I didn't see any signs of it. And I just didn't believe him. I just, because I knew he liked to joke with me a lot. I just didn't believe it. I said, man, ain't nothing wrong with you, man. He said, yeah, I am. He broke down. He just went on to me. He used to talk to me, tell me a lot of things, and I would learn from him and listen to him. But when he told me when he was ill, I just didn't believe it. The way he carried himself. I mean, he was in shape, excellent shape, because he used to tell me how I used to work out a lot. And remember, I was over his house one morning, and he gonna look at you, and then he would see where your head was at. So I remember one time I was over his house, and at the back door he had these two sets of boxing gloves. And then he looked up looked at them gloves, and he pulled one set and threw it at me. He said, "Come on outside." I said, "No, I ain't ready for that." So he looked at me. So I threw the gloves back at him. So I already knew he was already, geared up for that. But he just wanted to see where I was at. I said, "No, I ain't gonna fool with him." So he said, "Come on outside anyway." So he got to practice that. He knew some martial arts, and he was showing me, techniques and want me to learn from it. And said he'd get up every morning and be jogging maybe like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. He would show me. He would tell me this is what he do. This is how he stayed in shape. But I never knew that he was into that. But he was trying to get me to get into it. What he wanted me to get into it. He was teaching me. So he would show me some moves when I was out there in the back of his house. He would show me, and I was about 20 years old. I think he was about 22. And then he'd show me a lot of moves, what he wanted me to learn from him. And I said, wow, this guy knows this. And plus he's good with the music too. But he was quite some teacher. He was a good teacher. He said, I want to, teach you everything. I'm going to pass it on to you before I leave here, is what he used to tell me that. I said, man, you ain't going nowhere. Ain't nothing wrong with you. And we used to talk all the time about that. And then I couldn't believe it. That happened.
None of us could believe it when the word came down. I mean, because most of us as fans, we didn't know that he had anything going on like that.
Yeah, no, I didn't either. I couldn't believe it. And then much as he used to tell me, so I understand why. Try to learn, get as much as you can get. Just go carry you further. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be able to do what I can do today, and what I learned from Junie. With both of them, I wouldn't be able to do what I can do.
Well, you
But them
learned from,
guys both
you definitely learned from two of the most highly respected, of the funk and
of the
soul
music.
genre. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Learned from both of them, and that's how I got myself together. And then later on, and like I said, I talked to Junie maybe like around 2015. But yeah, I learned from the both of them. Both of them took me under. I learned from both of them.
Let me ask you, did Glenn, excuse me, did you meet any one from the P Funk camp through Glenn?
Another person I met Bernie, and I met Fuzzy. I met Fuzzy. Fuzzy was on Westbound, and Fuzzy needs somebody to do hand claps on a song. So I got chose for that. I think the rest of the band, and all it was, instead of clapping your hands, he said just use your feet. I thought that was different. So we would stomp, and as the feet were like hand claps. It was on a couple of tracks that we did. So we got paid for that, and that was it. And that was the first time that I had met Fuzzy.
And then
How
how did you meet Bernie?
How did I meet Bernie?
Yeah.
Um, Glenn was coming around the group a lot when they weren't playing. I think we was in some part of Michigan. I think it was might have been Kalamazoo or Ann Arbor, Michigan. It was either one of the two, somewhere around there. And he had Bernie with him, and that's how I met Bernie. And so they were sitting out there listening, and I did have a picture of Glenn back then. I believe it was like around the beginning of '78. Glenn was kind of dressed up. He had on his vest, sweater vest, and he had on these dress pants. Yeah, that was kind of different. I never seen him dressed up like that with these hard shoes on. I mean, he looked real neat. Bernie had on a neat outfit, had on a suit. But they came out, and and he introduced me to Bernie, and that was the first time I met Bernie. So that had to be maybe like might have been around '78. I met Bernie, and somewhere around in there, or the end part of like around '77. But then Glenn was coming around, and when he wasn't playing, then he would come to us and just be listening to the group, just hanging out when he was in the area. But we all stayed in the Michigan area a lot. So I guess when he was in Detroit, and when he found out where we was at, he'd stay up and want to know, well, where you at? And I'll say, well, I'm right here. Then, yeah, come on through. But he was a nice guy.
Did Glenn ever happen to mention anything related to the experience of, the Mothership tour? And, I mean, he was so key to landing the Mothership on those shows.
No, he didn't say anything to me about it. I remember when I was at his house in it was in '78, and Funkadelics was in Madison Square Garden. I had never seen him at that time, and I always wanted to see him. And so he had a friend. He said, well, go ahead and take him on down there and make sure he get back. But I mean, where I'm gonna go? I mean, I had no transportation at that time. I mean, went down there. Dude took me down there. His name was Jim. Took me down to New York, down to Madison Square Garden. So Jim said, I'm gonna be waiting for you outside. Don't go nowhere. I said, where I'm gonna go? I'm from Ohio, but where I'm gonna go? I ain't got no transportation. So I goes inside, and Parliament was playing. I seen two friends of mine that went to high school with. They was with the Barcade. I seen George for the first time. He didn't see me, but then I'm standing right there at the backstage. I see this guy playing keyboards, And so some said, just stay right here. Don't even go nowhere. Just stay right there. I kept looking at this guy, man, that was playing keys, man. I kept listening to him. Just kept listening to him. I said, God, this dude is so good on the keyboard. Who in the heck is he? How come he ain't out front? He had on this robe with the hood on it. I kept looking at it and studied it. I said, I'll be dog. And it had JM on it. That's the same robe he had on his album called Freeze. I said, Junie. He jumped up, put his head up, and looked at me. He said, man, what are you doing here? So I faked it and said, I'm here to see you. He said, don't go nowhere. And it was Junie that was playing the keys. I couldn't believe it. After that, I haven't seen him since the accident, but I've seen him playing with George. This was in 1978, but I was over at Glenn's house. And Junie said, man, don't go nowhere. He said, man, I'm so glad to see you. So I kept looking at him. I said, man, you're awfully little, man. He had lost so much weight because he was a bigger guy when we were playing together. But when I seen him, he was so thin. And then when he stood up, he said, man, please don't go nowhere. He said, stay right here. He said, come to my room. I said, okay, I ain't going nowhere. I'm going to stay here with you. So we sit there and talk and exchange numbers and everything. He said, how you doing, man? He said, I want to help you. He said, you need any money? I said, I'm all right. I said, man, you, I said, what's wrong with you, man? I said, I don't think you did well, man. He said, I had to come back out here, man. And he had this little limp. And when I saw that, I said, that was from the accident. I said, oh, man, you ain't doing too well, man. He said, I had to come back. We talked for a long time, just talked about everything. And he asked me how the rest of the guys doing. And I told him, he said, well, what you doing up here? And I said, I'm over at Glenn Goins' house. And he looked at me. He said, Glenn. He said, where you know him from? I said, I met him, but he had already knew he had signed Westbound. I said, I met him at Westbound. I said, I'm over his house. By that time, Jim was standing there when I was talking to Junie. He said, come on, let's go. So I looked at Junie. I said, well, man, I got to go, man. And it's time to go, man. He said, well, you got my number. He said, stay in touch. I said, well, I'm riding with him. I ain't got no transportation. I'm with him. He brought me here. So we took me on back, left New York, went on back to, like Plainfield, New Jersey. Went on back to New Jersey. That was the end of it. That's, last time I seen Junie. That was the last time I seen him from the accident. It was 1978. I seen him playing with George. And then he almost didn't recognize him. But his robe that he had on, that same robe he had on that album, that's what gave it away because it had the initials on it. And it just came to my mind, spontaneous. I said, Junie. And he jumped and raised his head up and looked and saw me standing there because I was right up on him and asked me, he said, what you doing here? I said, I'm here to see you. And that was it.
Between the Crowd Pleasers and that Quazar record, I mean, two really strong, funky records that were just one and done, though, for each of those groups.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
And did you get to meet Jerome Brailey at all? I know he had some involvement in that Quazar record.
Okay. When I was over at Glenn's house, we were standing outside this one particular time, and I believe we was on our way in the studio, and he was waiting on Jerome. He was waiting on Jerome Brailey. So we was outside. It was hot that day, and then I seen this guy pull up. I seen the car pull up. It was about a 70-something Corvette Stingray. I can just remember that just like it was yesterday. And it was him. It was Jerome Brailey that pulled up. And I just couldn't believe it. That the Funkadelic drummer showed up at Glenn's house. And we went to the studio. And let me see. First, I think we messed around in Glenn's house and went over something. And then we went on to the studio. That's what it was. And then I talked to him briefly. I didn't know him. That's the first time I ever seen him. And I just thought, I just couldn't believe I met him. And that just blew me away. I said, a Funkadelic drummer, Jerome Brailey. And I'm seeing him for the first time. And that was at Glenn's house. And I remember he said, he asked me, he said, can you play? Because he knew I was from Ohio. But I didn't say nothing. I said, oh, it kind of made me nervous when he said that, so I didn't know what to say. So I didn't say nothing. I just looked at him, left it at that. But got in there, and actually we did good together. Did good. I was a little nervous, but we did good. I didn't think I was going to be able to play with somebody like that, with, on the drums. I mean, the way he plays so solid. I mean, he locks in so hard. But I actually did play with him, did that recording with him. And excellent drummer. Plays hard. I mean, he drives hard.
That's what I call him, Bigfoot.
Yeah, he puts it in there. I mean, yeah, he puts it in there. That guy is good. I was a little nervous. But they got through it. But it was interesting. Yeah. Plus, by me from Ohio, I didn't know anybody, actually. I'm up there, you're talking about somebody from Ohio, you don't know nobody in New Jersey. So, it's sort of like you're by yourself, because I never came up with anybody in that area. So I'm from another state. And I'm hearing people saying, well, who's this guy right here? Because nobody knew me, And we said, that's Glenn's, one of Glenn's friends, So, that was kind of making me sort of like uneasy because I didn't know nobody. I'm in another state. I'm up in now. I'm from Ohio. I'm up in New Jersey. I don't know anybody, nowhere to go. I mean, you can't run nowhere. I mean, where you going? I mean, you don't know nobody. So you out there by yourself. But, but Glenn took me in. And then that was a good thing. Because I didn't know him really at the time, but I guess he trusted me at the time, and everything was cool.
So after that project, where did music take you?
I came back. I couldn't find nobody to get with. Junie got a hold of me. He was trying to get me with the. I think they was trying to put a band together. I don't know whatever it became of it. I stayed in touch with Junie. Junie was trying to get me with that band called the Sweat Band. I think they might have been looking for somebody, but Junie had the connection on that, but that never came about.
Well, they also ended up only doing one record.
Yeah. But he had talked to me, was trying to get me in on that. So he said, because he was already had told me, we were staying in touch, that I'm going to help you get involved with something. But it was taking too long, so I ended up staying in Columbus and started playing with local people that I ended up getting a job. So, running out of money at the time, and they needed money, so I ended up playing with local bands in Columbus, Ohio, and then I ended up getting a part-time job, so I just kept rolling that. And that's what I ended up doing. I couldn't really get with somebody else that was where I thought maybe I could fit in. Nothing just came about. So I didn't think about going to Dayton. Not like I didn't know anybody in Dayton, actually, at the time. So I never did go to Dayton, never did go to Cincinnati. So I just stayed here, stuck with where I felt safe at, played with the local bands around here, the cats that I knew, and just worked the job. And that's basically it. And then that's how I was pretty much keeping it going.
I'm sorry. Do you have any theory, though, why so much great funk has come from Ohio?
Well, the reason why I come because everybody want to be like somebody in Ohio. I noticed a lot of groups out of Dayton. A lot of funk guys in Dayton. You got a lot more jazz players here in Columbus, blues players. But Dayton, a lot of guys, they're gonna try to sound like somebody else or get that, But those guys are real funky, so they want to get that type of sound or that technique. And so if they get that particular sound, they sound like this person said, they put that with the way they sound. So they just keep it right there. And everybody digs the funky. Everybody. They believe in that. And a lot of groups that play funk, they made it out of date. They got that unique type of sound. All those groups is very unique.
Yeah, I've said before, but on the show I have, but you know, growing up in Los Angeles like I did, and being a fan of all those groups, you know, I just never even thought about the fact they were all from, you know, the same part of the country. But then later on, it was like a trip, you know, just discovering that they're all from that general area.
Yeah, a lot of them, they came up in the same neighborhood. You know, a lot of cousins, brothers, and they just work with each other, help each other out, you know. And they just got that, it's got a unique type of sound. They got that sound, you know. I listened to a lot of them. They got it.
What are one or two tracks that you've been, you know, part of that are your favorite or you feel most proud about?
On what particular song? Which group?
Just any that you've recorded, you know, whether it was with Quazar or Junie or Crowd Pleasers. What's one or two tracks that you just, you know, feel the best about, you know, in terms of what you did or just like the song the best? Or...
I like them all. I like them all. I like everything that I recorded out of each group that I played with Glenn, Junie, and the Crowd. Just like them all. Like everything. One song I wish I could have played on was the hit record on Quazar that was Funk and Roll. I was supposed to have been there for that, and Glenn played the bass. I couldn't make it. Couldn't make it that particular the day of the session. I would have to be there when it does come about. Then you're already there. Then you're ready. I had to come home. Something happened. I had to come home. So when he did do it, I couldn't get back. So he called me. He said, "Well, I ended up doing it myself. I definitely wanted to play on that one, but I didn't get a chance. He played it, and then actually, I believe that's how he got the deal doing that song. I was supposed to play that song because we had already been practicing. They had already showed me what to do, so I couldn't get back there. They had the money to get back, so I didn't even make it back. Something happened, I couldn't get back. Might have been something that happened in my family. I couldn't make it back. But I was supposed to play that bass line. And that would have been exciting to me because that was the song that really, that album, actually, I believe the album went gold.
Yeah, it may have, yeah. Was curious to me at that time was that chant in that song, you know, funk get ready to rock, funk get ready to roll. Because Funkadelic's One Nation Under a Groove, Charlie, that song has the same chant in it. And I always wondered, you know, who came up with it first, you know, Quazar and Glenn, or did Funkadelic have it from when Glenn was with them, or, you know.
Might have been Glenn. I believe it was. It may have been Glenn. I don't know. It may have. I can't really say how they came about. But those guys, Glenn was so good. I mean, they just have so much good vibe. They can just take something and fit it in and know how to place it in. You know, because Junie was the same way. Would do the same thing. They'd take something and turn it around, and this song came from this. And Glenn was good at that too. He'd take something from another song, and if you don't know what it is, you don't know where it is unless he tell you, or you can figure it out. That's how they vibe. they just take something that they don't made up previously and then use it somewhere else. But I learned that technique from Junie, and then I know Glenn was good at it too. I got that from Glenn. So that funk Get Ready to Roll, I don't know where. I can't really say, but I know he put that in the song.
Well, just speaking of that too, it was really fascinating to hear some of the Bootsy tracks from before he got with George, in the bands he was part of with his brother. And some of the parts from some of those ended up being parts of Parliament songs, later on. So yeah, they took elements like you're talking about and then did different things with them.
Yeah. It's like dissecting from another song. You can do that because I was taught that. And a lot of stuff that I had learned from them, I can still remember a lot of the ideas and the techniques that they showed me from back then. I still use them. Some of the day I incorporate with some of my ideas, and knowing how to change, certain things around. But I had learned that from him, especially when you're writing songs, and you can just keep going on and on. You never run out, but you would have to think how to take something, to dissect it, to apply it to what you're trying to do. But you got to put time in just doing that, just sitting up all day and long, and you're going to come up with something. You just got to have that time to do it. But I had learned that from him. And then the more time you put into it, you're going to get good at it. It comes so natural. It's just a vibe. That's all it is. And I got that from both of them guys, man. I got that from both of them. But everything happened so quick. So, from that time, from 75 all the way up to 79, I had to learn in between there to grasp it so fast, because once you do that, once you got it, and then you move on to another segment. You know what I mean? So you got to get it right there and there, and then try not to forget it, and try to remember everything. It was a lot that I was going through between both of them. Trying to remember everything. You got to stay focused. That's one thing Junie used to stay on me about. Stay focused on it. You put a lot of time into it, day in and day out.
How would you describe funk itself? And what does it mean to you personally?
Funk is something you have to feel, and it's got to be a feeling. It's got to be natural. It's got to be in you to have that feeling, and it's the feeling. It's got to be in you, and to me, it's like a vibe. You got to be vibing. When I use the word vibe, and what I got from them, that vibe comes from. And I got this from both of them. And actually, I got it from a little bit. I learned from Craig Moore, the guitar player from the crowd piece. You listen to somebody, listen to what they're doing. You listen to what they're playing, and then you vibe off of what they're doing. And then the creation comes off of that. You listen to what they're playing. Or if you're not listening, then you come up with it. Then they vibing off of what you're doing. And then it all comes together, but you got to know how to put it together off of each other. So we vibe off of each other, Maybe it's kind of hard to describe, but it's a feeling that you get inside, that in your mind, that you're gonna create off of what somebody is doing. It's like painting a picture. What can you come up with? And that's the whole ideal of it. To have funk, and that's what funk is a vibe. It's a strong vibe, and I've been around some guys that play a lot of funk. I even met up around 2004. I finally met up with George Clinton. That guy got a strong vibe. I just couldn't believe it, man. I got vibes. And Gary, the rhythms, I just couldn't believe it. I fit right in with him.
Yeah, I like to ask that because it is so hard to describe, so it's interesting to hear how people will describe it. But, I mean, if you know it, and that's the thing about it.
Well, knowing it and being in you, it's got to be in you. It's a feeling. It's like the spirit. That the spirit got to be in you. You got to be able to feel it that you can come up with it. That feeling ain't there, you're not gonna get it. And I got that from the lady that used to sing with the crowd pleasers. She had a strong vibe. She taught me that at a young age. When she get ready to come up to the mic, if the groove got to be set a certain way. If it ain't set up, she's not gonna sing. She's gonna sit back and wait till she feel it. Till she feel it, till the vibe of that groove is there. When it get to that certain when it gets to that level, once she feel it, then she ready to come up to the plate. She ready to start singing. She's got a strong vibe. She vibes off the music. If that groove ain't there, because the crowd pleasers was the type of band they played off a vibe of a groove. If it ain't there, it ain't happening. You can't feel it. Gary was like that. I realized Gary had that type of feel too. Gary was like that, and I sit and watched him and studied him. He's not gonna come up to the microphone. He's not gonna do nothing or play nothing unless it's set a certain way that he feel it, and then he gonna come off what he does. I sit there and watch him do that, and then if it ain't right, he'll back up off of it until it's set up. Then he'll come right up to it. I sit there and watch it. I studied him a lot. At times when I was around him, watched him. Glenn had that same vibe, just like that. Glenn was like that, but Glenn had it to the point to where he just come out with it. He just vibes so strong. I mean, he just knew exactly where to place his vocals, his playing ability. He just knew where to put it at. All those guys were good with that. Junie was the same way. It's just like that spirit has got to be in you. It's got to be in you. And then once you got that, then you got to be around the people who's doing it. Everybody vibing together. And that's what it is. It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling, man. I ain't describing no other way, but you got to have that feeling like James Brown. I got that feeling. James Brown's like that when I watched him. He had that. Boosie got it. All of them got it. It's a natural feeling. It's natural.
Absolutely. Man. Yeah, that's the best feeling. There's no other feeling like it, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, everybody off each other, vibing off each other, man. And once you got that vibe, that's where the creativity comes at. That's where it comes at. That's where it comes at. It starts with that.
All right. Well, speaking of creativity, tell us a little bit about the new music that you're working on and what we can expect in the near future, hopefully.
Okay. My creativity is what I put together, what I thought, what came to my mind by me listening, and what I learned from my past. And as I've gotten older, what I'm feeling. I played down in Dayton and ran into a guy named Keith Harrison. Didn't know who he was, had no idea. After I did the show last year, he approached me about some songs. By that time, in my mind, I was ready to take some songs that I had to redo them. I want to upgrade them, do them a little bit better. And I was looking for somebody to help me out with that. I'm going to hear what they had to see if I could vibe off of them. This guy approached me after I finished playing because they had never seen me before. When I was down in Dayton, I never seen them. They had no idea who he was. When he approached me, I thought he was just if somebody just, I had no idea. When I looked him up, it was a friend of mine down in Dayton I said, hey, man, give me that guy's number, man. I want to talk to him. Got his number, called him up, and met him and Stephen Shockley. Went down to his house. And it took me a year to finish this project. And I began to work with him and on some songs that I had I wanted to redo. I want to hear what he, would do with them. And he actually, laid it down for me. And I was impressed, but the way he came about, he reminded me of so much of Junie. I was amazed, and I like the way he plays. I mean, the guy's an excellent vocalist. He can sing real good, great piano player, and he played drums. I was just amazed, and how me and him fit together. And it just Keith Harrison, he just reminded me so much of. You can tell he's from Ohio. I mean, he's from Dayton because he's got that vibe. He definitely got it. This guy got a vibe. So actually, we really came together. So I like him a lot. And I said, what about that other guy that was standing out with you, named Steven? He said, man, he lived around the corner from me. I said, you got to be kidding. He called up Steve Shockley. He went Lakeside. Called him up, man. That guy came in, man, and had this other song. It was a slow song called Thirsting for Your Love. And I thought about it. I said, put a guitar solo in the beginning of it. And this is a song I did a long time ago, and another guy had played the solo on it. When he put it in, man, he just, with the chords he played, he felt it. He felt right in with it. It's just like it was meant to be. I mean, he had that vibe too with what I was doing, because we never met each other like that, and we never played together. But he actually fit right in, and I liked him a lot. I mean, he fit right in. So about a week or 2 weeks after that, of all people, I haven't seen him or heard from him since 1978. That was Darryl Dixon. Darryl hit me up. I said, of all people, I wouldn't expect, because I haven't seen him. It's been over 47 years since we was kids. He's a little older than me, but I wasn't expecting to hear from him. And when he got a hold of me, Darryl called me. I said, man, I got some songs. And we talked for a minute, for a good while. And I said, I got these songs, man. Would you be interested in playing some horn parts? And he got to explain it to me that he's got the chop horn. He said, well, send the tracks to me. I'll send it down to it. I was amazed how he came up with these horn parts. And I wouldn't expect for me to get that type of sound against my type of feel. And he's playing these horn parts of these songs I got. I just couldn't believe it, man, the way it came off. And somebody, he did all the horn parts in the Quazar band. And I haven't talked to him since we was kids. But after all them years, he contacts me from out of nowhere. I don't know how he got my information, but we talked. I let him do the horn tracks, and I was just amazed how everything came together. So I said, hey, man, just play on everything I got. You just come up with some parts on every song, because I like the way they was playing, and I just used him. I got like 8 songs, and I call my project as an old school. It's like that old school funk. So I got them horns in it. It's old school funk, and the way they put them horns to it, I was just amazed how it came together. So it will be coming out. It's called Old School. I got 8 songs that I redid. I played guitar I got 8 songs. I did. I played guitar to rhythm on maybe about 6 songs. I let Steve Shockley play on one. Another friend of mine played guitar named Keith Alexander. Let him play the guitar on another song. And that was it. So Darryl did all the horns arrangements, did everything. Keith did all the did the keyboards, and he played the drum parts, and that was it. I did, and then I did all the vocals and did all my bass parts. And that's it. So it came up with that, and I like what I have.
When do you think it might get out there?
I'm still putting it together now. This should be out maybe like couple more weeks or something.
So early
You know,
2020, early in the year. Are you just going to do a download, or are you going to put out a physical CD, or what?
I'm gonna do it all. I'm gonna do it all. I'm gonna do CD. I'm gonna try to get albums. You can do the download. I'm gonna put it out there.
I can't wait to hear it. I mean, Darryl has been on the show, and so has Keith Harrison. Keith Harrison, I think, besides Faze-O, also worked with Heatwave and Daz Band. So, I mean, he's very impressive.
Very impressive. Right now, he's working with the Daz Band. I talk to him periodically, and then we're talking. I mean, I like that guy a lot, man. The guy is good, man. I was amazed that I had met him because I was looking, and saying to myself, I wonder if I run into somebody like Junie, but this guy's close. I mean, he's got that same vibe. He's got that. I mean, me and him worked perfect together. And I was amazed that it took us a year, and I kept driving back and forth, dating for like a year to finish this. Working a regular job, going to dating. I mean, that was a lot. I mean, I stay up late, but changing things around. Let's try this, and then it came together. I was impressed. I mean, I got something.
Well,
And I'm looking forward
congratulations on persevering and getting it done.
Yeah, I'm looking. I mean, it took a year, but I'm looking to work with him some more if it's possible, because I know he stay pretty busy. But I called him at the right time. Got him at the right time, and everything just fell right in like it's supposed to. So just never know who you may end up with. But he came to me, and after I finished the show, and that's how I met him. I had no idea who he was. And he just stayed not too far from Columbus. After all them years, I wish I could have met him years ago. But when we met, it's just like now, it's like we've been knowing each other for years. I can call him right now and just be talking.
How can people how can people keep up with you or find out when it's available and that kind of thing?
Well, I would have to put it out there. I'm gonna advertise it myself, put it out on the media, and let people know what's happening. I'm gonna do that. But
can people find you on Facebook, or if they want to reach out to you? Or
oh yeah, they can find me on Facebook. I got a store here in Columbus. There's a guy called Spoonful Records. I'm good friends with him, and then I got access to that at the store. So I got some locations. I mean, I'm definitely gonna put it out there and find the spots where I can promote it at.
Oh, before I let you go, Don, I'm gonna just ask you: do you have a favorite album of all time by someone else?
I always liked the Boosie's album, Stretching Out. I liked that one a lot. I thought that was amazing how he came up with that concept. I liked that. And then from that point, that really got me. Then I wanted to be a bass player, to be out front. At that time when he was doing it, didn't even know how to talk or play at the same time. But then I learned how to do that later on down the years. So I would say that's my favorite one because I saw him do it. I was amazed.
I remember when I first heard that track, Stretching Out, on the radio back then. It was just unbelievable. Never heard anything sounding like that.
Yeah, never hear nothing like that again. I mean, that's like one of a kind. I mean, I just couldn't believe it, man. The guy came up with that concept like that. I mean, that's one of a kind. One of a kind, authentic. I mean, to come up with that idea. That's amazing.
Yeah. I'm glad he's still with us, still doing it, you know?
Yeah, he's still doing it. When he came out with that, it just blew a lot of people away. Just blew people away. I mean, to come up with that concept. From that point, then that's when I said, I got to get it together, you know. But you got to learn how to be able to sing and play at the same time. You got to incorporate both of them. And if you can do that, back then in the 70s, I mean, that would carry you a long way. So you can get a job playing with anybody. You have to know how to do both. And at that time, I could play, but I couldn't sing. But I kept working with it. I'm not a good singer, but I learned how to work both of them together at the same time. I couldn't do that. You know, because Larry Graham did it. A lot of the bass players could do that, but you know, you had to incorporate both of them, singing and playing at the same time. But then to be out front like that, like Boosie did it, he came up with that concept, and you know, that's what you call a concept. I mean, he did it.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're doing it still. Looking forward to the new music, and thank you so much for talking with me and taking the time. And we had some technical challenges early on that viewers don't have to, you know, worry about. But that's why we're not seeing you on here. We're just hearing you. But I'll put plenty of pictures up there, and they'll have stuff to look at when they watch this. But thank you so much. It's been great getting to know you.
Okay, thank you. And then when I get it all together, I'll send you a copy of my project.
I'm counting on it.
I'll stay in touch with you.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Okay. Thanks, Don. Take care. Have a good weekend.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Truth in Rhythm. A big thank you goes out to our guest as well as to you, the viewer and listener. Also, much gratitude to Pleasure for supplying the show's funky opening and closing music. As a reminder, you can always access the complete list of linked shows by episode at funkandstuff.net. I urge you to support this program and receive the extra benefits along with that by subscribing to the Funk and Stuff channel on YouTube and sharing it with funk, R&B, and jazz lovers, joining Truth and Rhythm's membership program at Patreon, submitting a donation at funkandstuff.net, buying Everything is on the One, the First Guide to Funk book at Amazon, shopping at the Funky Things store for cool merchandise at funkandstuff.net, and linking through funkandstuff.net for all of your Amazon purchases. In addition, if you're an artist or anyone seeking proven, results-oriented professional marketing, PR, writing, or editing consultation or production, check out the media services section at funkandstuff.net. Also, I encourage you to drop me a line at scottg@funkandstuff.net. I love the feedback, suggestions, guest requests, appearance and sponsorship inquiries, and just talking about my favorite subject, groove-based music. For now, and as always, this is Scott Dr. GX Wellfine saying, keep on vibing to the rhythm of the one.